Welcome to another episode of the Biker PM. I'm your host, Anthony Pavelich. Today I have with us Jaggy Gagnat. Jaggy is the founder of Lycan Motorcycles. It's a motorcycle company in the Philippines that provides motorcycle enthusiasts the flexibility of designing and personalizing their motorcycles from a series of predetermined designs and parts through modern technology and proprietary software applications. Jaggy has been self-employed since 2013 as a freelancer, where he established his first business in 2015 as a digital media and marketing company. Over the years, he's developed and has been using his skills as a media producer and marketer for Lycan, which gives his company an edge over its competitors. The ability to communicate and sell products and ideas without doing any hard selling. Jaggy currently works with his team to further develop their lines of motorcycles that will be available in the market in 2022, with the goal of changing the way how motorcycle riders design and acquire personalized bikes that best represent their personality, and of course, take a good share of the market. So let's get started. Hi Jaggy, thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I'm good, Anthony. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So let's get started with just give me a little bit of background about you and a background about your business, and then we'll go from there.
So great. My name is Jaggy Gagnat. So I'm from Manila, Philippines. So my company right now is a motorcycle company. So we are a manufacturing company here in the Philippines. So what we do basically is we manufacture and assemble motorcycles for the Philippine audiences. And hopefully enough, we are also integrating several technologies in terms of how people design and how they can acquire a motorcycle here in the Philippines. So we started out first in 2020, just customizing motorcycles. We are modifying existing motorcycles from existing brands. But this year we have started our venture into developing our own brand, our own motorcycle brand.
I will say it's a passion of mine, motorcycles, and that's
Yeah.
what
Oh, great.
I'm really glad that to talk to you. I mean, I my motorcycle is a Harley 2006 Harley Softail, and
Oh,
that's
wow.
why I
Mm-hmm.
rebranded my podcast a couple of years ago from project manager for small business to the Biker PM. I'm like, I want to incorporate my
All
passion.
right, right, right.
So my motorcycle is my baby. It's a 2006. Everybody's people keep wondering if I'm going to get a new one, and I'm like, I went to Las Vegas a couple years ago and I rented. It was a brand new one, 7 miles on it, and it was like, this is beautiful. It rides nice, but it's not mine. It was first of all, it was too quiet because mine has my pipes are pretty loud. I was like, this isn't my baby. This isn't my bike. I like it, but it's not mine. So I can't foresee getting rid of it,
Mhm.
even with all the new nice ones out there. But so let's
Uh-huh.
talk about how you got started in the pandemic, because a lot of people are afraid to start new ventures in the pandemic, start new businesses because
Mhm.
of, well, people are losing their jobs, they're afraid to spend money, travel, all this stuff. So what said, okay, I can do this? I know we have a pandemic, but I can do it.
Yeah, okay. Well, firstly, of course, starting a new venture in during the pandemic, especially in 2020, last 2020, is really a risk. I mean, for anyone, right? So you're correct when you said that who would in the right mind start a venture or start a business during the pandemic, right? But what I saw is an opportunity, since I thought to myself that while the world is asleep or while the economy is down, and probably it's the best time to start something from the ground up. Okay, so what transpired from this passion was the idea of course of my love for motorcycles. And during the pandemic, it was just, when everyone was at home, everyone was bored, everyone had lost jobs, and what I was potentially alone in my head, thinking of creative ways of how I can personally make money. Well, aside of course from making money, is what is the next best thing that I can work on and focus on during the pandemic. While the world is asleep, while everyone is in a relaxed mode or in, afraid of what the pandemic might bring up, I was busy working on concepts, on ideas, on strategies, on executions. And of course, it was definitely a risk because I didn't know if the market would accept the business idea that I am formulating. Initially, I was supposed to have a business partner, but it didn't work out. And I think it was fortunate that partnership didn't work out because I was able to express myself more. I was able to to bring more of the idea of what I had in mind. 2020 was all about research, conceptualization, and ideation, and just gathering all of the ideas that I can. And then in early 2021, or at least before 2021 started, began launching this idea. We've showcased some works, some designs, some actual motorcycles that we have built from existing brands. And then fortunately enough, at during December, we had a lot of inquiries because basically it's they're what we're doing are motorcycles. And I believe in here in the Philippines is there are a lot of Filipinos who love motorcycles. Then in January was when we had our first break, which was our first client. Okay, so even during the pandemic, we received a lot of inquiries and requests for us to build their motorcycles for them. And fortunately enough, the first few months was the biggest. It was a success for us. We've had a lot of projects, we've had a lot of clients, and surprisingly enough, it made us realize that even during the pandemic, when almost everyone was supposed to be saving money, not spending so much, we've come to realize that people would spend, especially if it is for their passion. And motorcycle, as I can see, is a passion for anyone who rides a motorcycle. So in 2021 was our like what I can say, our testing period in terms of the ideas of how we are able to build motorcycles, how we are able to design, customize, and make turn something ordinary into something extraordinary. And then even prior to starting the manufacturing company, if we my personality is always it's either go big or go home, and I knew from the start that custom motorcycle is just the first step. Okay, the real plan is always to go big, which is to start my own motorcycle brand, my own motorcycle company. But before I even get there, I needed to practice, or to at least test the ideas, test out the market, test some designs and concepts. So this is where the custom motorcycle garage, the garage business started. Basically, this motorcycle garage business is our sandbox where we test out ideas, test out designs, and make sure enhance our skills in terms of engineering, in terms of design, in terms of customer servicing and marketing. So we took it as our first step before we go on stage in starting our own motorcycle brand here in the Philippines.
Do you feel overwhelmed, overstimulated, and overworked? There's so much you need to do, but you don't know what the best way to do it is? And you're not sure where all your time goes each week? Jump on over to my website, pavproconsulting.com. You can download my free PDF, The 5 Proven Strategies to Steal Back Lost Time and Money in Your Business. And while you're there, you can book a free process discovery session, pavproconsulting.com. Move forward with confidence, focus, and productivity. What is your background? And before you got into this, what were you doing before? And what has your career been up to this point?
Okay, so in college I took up architecture. Okay, but I didn't finish my college years as in architecture because I decided to stop studying to pursue my business in media production. Okay, so from media production, it began to develop into marketing. We became a digital marketing agency from 2015 until 2019. Okay, so I ran a media and digital media and marketing agency here in Manila, and then basically those first few years as a businessman and as an entrepreneur was the time that sparked my big ambitions and goals in life. So even when I had this media agency, I began starting a online educational startup company. So this was pre-pandemic around 2018 and 2019. So I started an online educational training program, startup company here in the Philippines, where we are mainly teaching more about media, photography, filmmaking, business, marketing. But sadly, of course, that startup didn't push through. So instead of, after losing a lot of, after losing some time with that startup, I resumed my business, the media agency. Okay, and then pandemic came, and then all of my businesses, sadly and unfortunately, had to come to a stop. So basically, that is my background.
It's interesting going from architecture and media into a something hands-on like building motorcycles or customizing motorcycles. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an architect. That was like one of my dreams. But then I realized as a kid, I hated math. I still hate math. I can do math. I just really don't like it. And I was like, there's a lot of math in architecture. I really don't know if I wanted, so I never pursued it because I'm good at math. I just hate it. It's just one of those things, when there should go sneak back. When you know that you're good at, you could do something, but you don't like it, then that's when you have somebody else do it in your business.
Correct.
So I know I would never want to be a bookkeeper or do my own accounting stuff if I didn't have to.
Same.
So yeah, you pick what you're good at and that's what you like and that's what you do. So I am fascinated by the transition from like an office job to a garage job and that passion. How long have you been into motorcycles? Has this been something since you were a kid? Is this something that you've had your whole life, or is
Not really. It started as as something of a necessity a few years ago. So back then I saw motorcycle as just a way to commute to and from places. But the interest in something, making it something beautiful, wasn't yet there. Okay, and then it only sparked because of basically my desire into creating something beautiful. And I think I can take the roots from my architecture background, especially and also in
yeah,
photography and filmmaking. Basically, it's creating something out of nothing, and the beauty of and fulfillment of seeing something tangible, a finished product from something that came from your imagination, that came from your mind. So I think that is what basically fuels my passion of turning something ordinary into something extraordinary. Especially when it first came into my mind, and then into paper, into sheets of paper and sketches and so on, until you get to see something tangible.
so you have a lot that you've done, and you've got a good background in business, with what you've done. So how do you keep everything in track? We are here to also talk about project management. So how do you keep track of everything? How do you keep track of all your ideas, the designs, your customers? How do you keep track of the progress of your customers' modifications? Because there are a lot of steps to it.
Okay, in theory, basically, hypothetically speaking, my personality is more on somehow like an organized chaos. So everything inside my head, everything is inside my head. That I put them into compartments, similar to a mind palace. Okay, if you are familiar with the Sherlock, and yes, so everything's compartmentalized inside my head, and that way I can keep track of everything. And then of course sometimes I write it. I write those thoughts down in order to organize them. But technically speaking, when we are managing projects, when we are diving into the organization of everything else to make everything seamless, we use a lot of tools and methodologies in order to keep track of all our clients and all of our projects. Back then, in my early years in doing business, of course I had no idea how to manage a project, or how to to work on projects, how to manage clients. I didn't know about CRMs and all of those tools. But along the way, of course, I found that it's better to be organized, to put them into sales funnels and put them into marketing funnels for me to better understand the sales cycle. Because looking at it in a bigger picture, I get to strategize, I get to think about the next plans. Okay, and all of the technical details, I leave those to people who are more organized than me, because I can admit I am not that organized. I'm not an organized person. So basically what I do is I collaborate with my team members, taking something abstract, helping them understand the abstract of the process, the system in place, and then they do their job in making it seamless and integrated. So if we are to dive into tools, of course we use CRM. We keep track of all of the progress, the projects, especially in if we are to talk about motorcycles. We start with of course the design, and then we work on collaborating with our clients in order for us to get an idea of exactly what is inside their heads, because my job as a creative problem solver is to take something from their head, something intangible, turn it, those abstract thoughts, and write it down, create drafts, create sketches, in order for me to get an idea that I will later on translate into design. Now, once we have an understanding of what they have in mind, then that's the time we proceed with our projects, and then I leave some of the production processes to our chief operating officer, because he handles majority of the production and operations. Basically, my job is to work with clients, bring in clients, do the marketing, do the branding, make people feel the hidden desire for motorcycles. Exploit it
Yeah.
until I convince them to buy from our business. And then basically that's it. That's how. I'm sorry. Did I answer your question?
Well, yeah, you answered the process. I'm just, is there a specific tool that you like for your CRM or for your project management? Or I know some people still, I interview people that use, they still use whiteboards, which is fine. If it works for your business, they use whiteboards, they use paper, they use Trello, they use, many different
Oh,
things.
yeah.
So there is no right answer. It's just what works for your business, as long as you're being successful and as long as you're able to track it. So yeah, so that was, the other part of the question is there a specific tool that you like, or do you do it all in like tracking on paper or?
Well, if you are to ask me, I am a Google Sheets type of guy.
Yeah,
Okay, I know it's not the best tool out there, but we also use Asana and Trello as part of our CRM, and sometimes.
I know a lot of people that use Google Sheets. It's actually it's easy. It's collaborative. I mean, people can be on it at the same time making changes and you can see what everybody's doing. They're giving Microsoft a run for their money with it.
Correct. Well, what I love about Google Sheets is I over the years I became a Google Sheet geek. So a lot of the complicated things that I know can be easily done by apps and tools like Trello and Asana. I like making my life complicated, but I have this innate. I'm very fond of how Google Sheets can present data. Okay, because like I said, I have this organized chaos thinking where I put everything down and then later on organize them into thoughts that unfortunately on some it makes it hard for others to translate what I have written down.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Biker PM. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. And remember, if you're an entrepreneur that wants to be with like-minded individuals and improving their project management skills, join the Biker PM Facebook group and watch out for some exciting news coming soon. Until next time.